What's up, everybody? It is your boy DC coming to you from that grindhouse. Um, it is the Huddle, and we are starting the show um, for Madden 2020. I just woke up. It was kind of crazy. I was watching the Bills game, and it went a little bit dry, so I kind of fell asleep. But I'm up now, and we are about to get into it. We just kicked off the season. Absolutely amazing. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things that have changed in the game itself, a lot of things that have changed in the league. This is the first year I think that we started off and we didn't have a full league, but I do expect that to change. Um, a lot of commissioners are grinding. A lot of commissioners are out there trying to get people to join the league. It is definitely going to be hard for somebody to join the Dolphins because they are absolutely garbage, and I mean they're terrible. Just look at them play. It's been absolutely bad. A lot of things that that are different. I am a commissioner now. Um, that started this year. Blade left because some other stuff going on, and I'm not 100% sure why he left, but I get it. It's a grind. Sometimes you get burnt out. That's why I don't particularly like playing the game back to back to back to back to back Maddens and just never getting time to desensitize yourself away from the game. But Blade is gone, which is one of the commissioners. You know, definitely good guy. Like Blade, good commissioner. Very very tough on people. Very tough on the league and letting people know what was going on and not letting some of these guys get out there and do what they want to do, which is going to be the same thing that I'm going to do. I'm not going to let guys just think that they can get away with whatever they want to get out there. Definitely not doing any of that. It's been very interesting. To start, a lot of things were not done. Some things were done. But just bear with us as commissioners. I'm a new commissioner. Um, B Knight is a fairly new commissioner. Just trying to figure out and get everything done and everything straight and making sure that, the league runs as smooth as possible. Um, and going forward, we just trying to get everything done, as far as all that goes, trying to figure it out. And the first thing I want to talk about is these trades. Okay. So I know that a lot of I know a lot of people see these things and they're like, they see the trade values and then they see a deny or an acceptance and they're like, well, why did I get denied or and this guy got approved and things like that. I get it. When you see the trade value, and I want people to notice immediately, it's not an end all be all. Okay, the trade value is just something as a baseline that we use in order to decide whether we think it's fair or not. Some commissioners use it, some commissioners do not. It is not something that they even have to use. The trade value to me is very very clean because it's going to give values, and I wanted to give an explanation of kind of what they do, and just my understanding of it. And as I was looking through and studying the values and how they give out the values, so the values for players has something to do with their age, their overall, how many years left on their contract, and I think it's one more. Age, overall, how many years left on that contract, and I think that's it. It might be only three. So it has some things that's to do with it. If they have not a lot of years on the contract, they're gonna have less value. So you may have a 90 overall player, but because he only has 1 year left, he's gonna be 150, 160. If he's a 70 to 80, he's probably gonna be worth like 20 to 30, which I don't agree with because I think like 30 is really low. I've seen some players are worth like 7. Like, I mean, I might as well not even trade that guy because he's worth 7. But you get more worth than 7 out of these guys, and that's kind of where the commissioners kind of have to come in and say, okay, well, it may be fair or it may seem fair on the trade value, but it's not necessarily fair or vice versa. So that's kind of what I wanted to get out there and let everybody know, is just kind of just to tell people, it's not an end all be all. So if you see somebody deny a trade because of the trade value, does not necessarily mean that your trade will be denied. If you haven't had the other two commissioners reach out to you, They haven't said anything about it. Ask the commissioners. I guarantee they will come out and give you a a ruling on the trade how they see fit. It doesn't mean that they're using the trade value. Okay, we just kind of use it. If I use it, personally, I use it as a baseline. I don't look at it. I know B Knight uses it whether it's 200 either way, um, either player, either user, coach, or whatever you want to call us. Um, I don't particularly use it like that. I just say, okay, is it close? If it's ridiculous, I'm not gonna approve the trade. If it's outside of 800-900, I'm not gonna approve the trade, depending on what it looks like. And that's kind of where I go from there. So remember that the trades are not an end all be all. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to discuss. The second thing is for the new users. I do this every year. Is I want to kind of talk about reading the rules. I played the Jets, and I know why he did it. And I'm not really going to be upset on why he did it. I threw the ball to Zay Jones, and he caught an incredible catch where his defender was there, and he kind of spun around and he made the catch, and then the Jets user Gando, I don't know how he actually pronounces it, but he hit pause. Now that's a new thing where if you get bailed out, you hit pause to let people know. Oh, he hit pause. Hater Nation, what's up, B Santa? My guy right there, man. I gotta get up with you, man. Gotta play some Rainbow, but I'm gonna keep going. So he hit pause because he felt like I got bailed out. Regardless of whether you may feel that I got bailed out, if you hit pause and it's not in the times it shows hit pause, you have to go take a timeout. The only times you can hit the pause button is in between quarters and if your player gets injured. That is it. Okay, if you hit pause any other time because you were upset that somebody got bailed out, you're gonna have to hit the timeout button. And it just stops people from interrupting the flow of the game and things like that. So, just make sure that you read the rules and understand this. And this just goes because Gondo is new to our league and he probably doesn't know, or he's probably never played on simulation before. The reason that you have the quarterback that's gonna overthrow the ball is because it's simulation. It doesn't matter if his feet are set. It doesn't matter if he's in the right situation and the wide receiver's in the right situation. Sometimes he just overthrows the ball, and that's how the game is played. That happens in simulation mode. If you go to competitive mode, that is not the same exact thing. So just so you guys are out there, for the new users particularly, that it doesn't have to necessarily be the right situation or the right setup for it to be unsuccessful. You'll see it happen all the time. And like I said, he overthrew the ball and then he wanted to say I got bailed out. Once again, I have the ability to have a show, so I can talk smack if I want to. And he is welcome to come to on the show and talk some smack himself if he would like to as well. I don't hide from anybody. I did do the slider, so I may hide from people. But anyway, so I didn't, I don't hide from anybody, but, when you throw 7 picks in a game and he threw 7 picks, like at that point, just realize that you played bad. Don't try and say, oh, you got bailed out and you trash, and don't be hitting my DMs because you mad you lost. Okay, I played bad. Okay, and particularly it was because I felt like the sliders were not tuned correctly. And then I went into there and the commissioners, nobody had touched the sliders. We were still playing on 8-minute quarters. We still had accelerated clock on. Injuries was kind of messed up. So, just going into it, that has been rectified. I went in there and did the sliders myself. It's the first time I did the sliders. I definitely turned injuries way down because, this is a money league and you want to have your best players out there. This isn't like the real NFL where you just have backups that are actually better than the overall ratings. Like in this Madden, like the backups aren't good, so it's kind of hard. So we tend to have the injuries set on a lower setting. Doesn't mean the injuries won't happen. It's just that they're less likely. So like I said, I did tune the slider, so you guys do know. Before it was a lot of things that I had seen in the game, like seven picks, 13 turnovers was absolutely ridiculous. Like it shouldn't have happened. So the sliders have been tuned. That has been rectified. So we're gonna go forward with that. So But just so you guys know, especially for the new users, like I said, it is simulation. Expect things to not be perfect. That's what simulation is about. It's supposed to be as realistic to the game as possible. And this is why I felt like the sliders needed to be tuned as well, is because it wasn't realistic. You're not going to see 13 turnovers in a game. You're just not going to. Okay? In order for you to see 13 turnovers, I mean, like Nathan Peterman threw 6 picks in a game, and he broke the record for throwing picks in a game. Yes, I know he was a Buffalo Bill at the time, unfortunately, but like you just don't see that. And he threw 7 picks, which is unrealistic as it can be. So, that's why I felt like the sliders needed to be tuned. But just understand, like I said, it's simulation is going to be as realistic as possible. You're not going to see the runs like you have been. You shouldn't see them. All right, you go into all pro on online, and the runs, like, you can't tackle anybody. Guys are right there doing twirly twos and they don't tackle them. So definitely what we have tried to do is make this as realistic as possible. All right, so that's pretty much it with that. Like I said, once again, for the new users, I always like to talk about the new users because I like to get them acclimated to our league. It is a little bit different. We do move a little bit slower than most leagues. And we do that because we stay on schedule. Like some of these leagues, you'll see them go through 3 or 4 weeks because they're trying to get through the season as fast as possible. Here we are about scheduling and about getting it and knowing your times and knowing when you can, when you can expect it so you can plan for it. Um, and I've talked to some of the other guys and they really enjoy that it doesn't go as fast as the other leagues because they can plan their games around it, and they know, hey, I have to get my game in between these times with this league. So it's gonna be a little bit slower. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, rush the league, rush the league. That's not what we do here. It's all about, are you going to be there hard start? These are the times. This is the time for the Super Bowl. This is the time for the draft or off season. We normally spend a week there. So that is going to be just, what we do here in the league. As well as, like I said, read the rules. Make sure that you are paying attention to the rules because, a lot of guys are toting that line because they're new and they really don't know. So make sure you go in and read the rules. The rules change from year to year. So second year guys, go in there and check it out. The 4th down rule has changed. Okay, the 4th down rule has changed. Now in third quarter, you can actually go for it if you're the losing team at any time. And did we do any time? I'm not sure. I have to check that. Read the rule. I gotta read it myself because I know it changed. But the biggest issue for me is that you will be going in a situation and it would be on the other side. It would be on your side of the field in third quarter, and it's like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, but you have to punt it because it's the rules. But I feel like it may be a situation where you can go for it. Because you're down 2 touchdowns and you need that yard to go forward. So if you're down and the team, go Broncos, you're so silly. But if you're down on that team in third quarter, you can now go for it. So make sure that you read the rules. They do change. Don't think, oh, okay, well, this is what it was last year, so this is what it is now. Same thing where I think D1 did not know, one of the old commissioners in the league, he didn't know that you could play the user or the computer as many times as you want to avoid the injuries, right? Because we don't want you to lose players on a computer game. That's absolutely stupid to lose a guy on a computer game. So that rule has changed as well. So like I said, he said if they put him in Madden, he'll play. Oh, believe me, 6'4", 4'4", they should. But that's kind of how, as far as the league goes, it changes. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay. So the next thing is make sure that you're respectful to other users. Like, we're all just trying to have fun, and we don't have a full league this time. And I really wanted to talk to people to let them know, like, you have to also take pride in that, right? when you beat people the way that sometimes that some of these users will beat them 55 to nothing or 55 to 13, like people are not just gonna want to stay in a league where they're getting the crap beaten out of them. Okay, that's why it goes into being respectful. We've lost a lot of users because they're like, oh man, I don't have the time to put into this game, and I don't even have a chance. Like you are putting people into the ground, and we're losing users at a crazy rate because they can't just stay. You know what I'm saying? Like no one wants to just keep getting beat like that, and they don't have the time to practice. So they're not going to stand for it. So just be respectful. I'm not telling you to let up the gas, but be respectful. Don't try and just embarrass somebody when you know you got to win. Just get the game over with. Some of the users are savages. The same thing, like if you chatting with somebody, like calling somebody out of their name because of something that may happen. Like, okay, you got disconnected. And then you want to blame somebody because you're beating them bad. The game just this like instead of blaming the person, right? How about we blame EA because we know EA is garbage and their servers are trash. All right, but people want to blame the person like, oh, you quit. And then that deters people from wanting to stay in the league because it's like, I didn't quit. The game kicked me out. EA servers are trash and you want to blame me for this. Just make sure that you're being respectful in the chat because that is what helps keep the league. This what helps the league grow. It helps the league retain users and things like that. Like I said, this is the lowest that I think that we have ever started with. Last year we started with 31 because nobody and their mama wanted to take the Jets last year. They were really, really bad. Same thing with the Dolphins. I don't think anybody will take the Dolphins just because they start out with a real, real low overall. Halfway tend to give them the next one, which is Andrew Luck. So this guy, I know I wanted to talk about this because every single year, give me a second, let me get something to drink. Okay. Every single year, if you don't notice, like if for the guys who've been in the league, like we have started later and later and later in the year. I remember it was 2 weeks after Madden come out, then boom, we started. Then it was, okay, well, 2 weeks it went by, but then Daddy Leagues is not really kind of getting the companion app and all this other stuff. Okay, it was like 3 weeks and then 4 weeks, and now we was almost into 6 weeks, I think, 5 or 6 when we started. Yeah, 5 weeks we went to after the game had released, which is not any fault of the commissioners. Like we're trying to bring the game to a certain standard where when it first comes out, obviously there's going to be a big patch and they patch it again and then they patch it again and then they patch it again. And then you see crazy transactions that happen, like Clowney to Seattle, Andrew Luck retiring, things like that. You just see crazy astronomical things that just happen. And of course we want to give the users like what team they're gonna go into the season with. So it takes a little bit of time to try and to try and adjust for that. So, just understand. I know that people are antsy. I was antsy myself. Like I really wanted to start the league. I'm like, I cannot wait to start. What do you say? This dude's just, just really, really just like, oh man, I really want to start. I'm really ready for the league. I'm really ready to get this in motion. But like I said, with Madden and the way that, like the patch era, like they used to put out a game and it used to be the game that you had to go with. But now they have the ability to patch the game, and I mean it has been patches of Houlihan over here. Like it's just dip, duck, dodge, and dip. Like what is going on with these patches? Every time I look up, they patching something new, and it makes it harder for you to as a user to adjust. And so we just try and make sure like all the patches are out, like the big ones that's going to be within the time frame to start. Plus, we're waiting on roster updates just to get the teams the way they should be. All right, and then we're gonna talk about free agency draft. Okay. Free agency draft is a little bit crazy. Once again, just make sure that you're paying attention Everybody has questions every single year to try and figure out what's going on with the free agency draft, blah, 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 blah. You know, the biggest thing is regardless, you got the time that's allotted. If you don't make it in the time, you can come back as long as we still are within that round to make a pick. If not, then you get skipped. It is what it is, okay? At a point, everybody always has questions or always has something to say every single year. To me, there's nothing to say. You know what it is. I don't care if you're a new user or not. You should have read the rules. We're going to go. When it starts, and then we're not going to stop. You have a chance to pick them if you're in the same round. If not, then you missed the pick. It's a free agency draft. It's not like it's an actual NFL draft. It's just something out there to give people time to decide who they want to pick instead of just everybody going out there. As soon as you sign in the league, you're like, oh, okay, well, I like Corey Grant. I really like Corey Grant. Of course, the Buffalo Bills were really terrible, 73 overall. So with me having the ability to have one of the first picks, I was able to get Corey Grant because we had Frank Gore and TJ Yeldon and Singletary, which none of them have really great speed for Madden, and Madden is about speed. So I was able to get him. Just pay attention, especially with the free agency draft. The same thing that goes into everything is reading the rules. Okay, make sure that you pay attention and read your rules. That's going to be very, very, very important. And then we're gonna roll into the last thing here. We're gonna keep this show very, very short. I'm gonna try and do shows every 2 weeks. That may be a little far. I think first season I may do every week. I'm gonna try and do some commentating of games. I really liked that last year, but that does go into people twitching or using Mixer to broadcast their games. We're gonna try and get people out there. Make sure that you broadcasting games, doing the games of the week, which I'm going to be really involved in. I'm gonna talk to the commissioners and see what game of the week is and when that game will be played so people can broadcast it. You are required to broadcast it if you are the game of the week, if you did not know. And I would like to potentially commentate that. That means that it is going to be going through my channel or one of the other commissioners' channels in order to broadcast that. So, and we're just going to be talking about the game and what's going on in the game. Just doing something a little different that your other leagues don't do. The same thing with the show. So that is what we got coming up. Potentially, I will be talking about talking to the commissioners about that one in the game of the week. Like I said, we do have lives. It's not always necessarily going to be the easiest thing to get to, but, it's something that we're going to be trying to do in the future. So just understand that you may have to be required to Twitch or Mixer or whatever, broadcast your games in order for other people to watch them and see what's going on. The biggest thing is I know like some of the people like to hide their scheme because going up with the Super Bowl and things like that, but it is a requirement for this league. So understand that is a part of the rules. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is the bottom 10. And the bottom 10, we do have it every single year, and we do it at the end of the show. And the whole bottom 10 is given to one of the commissioners, B. Knight. I have to give this man the bottom 10, the whole entire bottom 10, because this guy, okay, this commissioner here, my guy, absolutely love him. But what he did was absolutely hilarious. Okay. So he got in there and when people give him trades, he has been a stickler for the trade value. He is about 100% transparency. He is going to be full disclosing everything. So you guys out there can have almost no complaints. That's what he does. Okay. It's nothing wrong. He's a commissioner. He can utilize it and do what he sees fit as far as how he feels the trades are going to be fair to him. So this is what he does. And then he tells you, it's 200 either way, which is either user 200 over, 200 under is kind of where he's going to vote on the trade, whether it's fair or unfair. He's he's a stickler for this, right? So he gets in and makes a trade with Mike Motorbike. And now they were giving him a little bit of crap about it. They were giving him a little bit of shit. about the trade, which I found to be absolutely funny. And I was like, well, let's go in and look at this value. And when I seen the value was like 1,500 off, I found it to be absolutely hilarious. Once again, like I said, it's not an end all be all, and no, not all the commissioners use it. But it was a humongous gap, and it was because Christian McCaffrey was worth like 3,100 alone. Okay, for him to do that, man, you got to get the bottom 10 for that. Like, it was absolutely, like, it was such a humongous gap. And then he tried to walk it back, like, well, I can't in good conscience do it, and I get it, but unfortunately it was posted in the chat, and that is our rules. The rule is not, we do not have a trade value rule, and I get where he was saying it, because, like, that's what he does. But unfortunately, you still have to follow rules because the trade was in the chat. So you definitely have the whole entire bottom 10 for that one. All right. Absolutely hilarious. But that is pretty much it for the show, guys. We will be doing a show. I'm going to try and do one next week. Depending on what we got going on. I may do it a little bit later after my kids take themselves to sleep. Right now, the kids are away, so I'm on dadcation. But we will try and have a show next week, and then, like I said, we're going to try and do the game of the week as well. But that's pretty much it for the Huddle, guys. Thank you for watching. It is your boy DC. Always remember, embrace your hate and hate everybody. Hater Nation. Let's get it.